Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe and support me. The sky above New York City rippled with a strange energy that sent waves of unease through the people below. Tony Stark's eyes narrowed behind his helmet's visor as he scanned the horizon. "Tell me you guys see this." His voice crackled through the Avengers' comms, a blend of curiosity and concern coloring his tone. "We see it," replied Captain America, his grip tightening on his shield as he peered up at the sky. The ripple was unlike anything they had encountered before, almost like the fabric of reality itself was coming apart. Doctor Strange hovered nearby, hands glowing with mystical energy as he extended his senses into the disturbance. "It's not just our universe," Strange said, his voice tinged with awe. "It's multiple realities bleeding into each other." Tony's HUD lit up with readings that confirmed Strange's suspicions. "Multiverse theory. Great." As if one Earth wasn't enough trouble, Thor, ever the warrior, gripped his hammer Mjolnir, eyes scanning the horizon for any threat. "If there are foes to be found, I say we meet them head on." "There's more to this than just a fight, Thor," Natasha Romanoff, a Black Widow, cut in, her tone as sharp as her instincts. "We need to understand what we're dealing with here before we make our move." Tony Stark's mind raced through the possibilities. A breach between universes could mean disaster on an unprecedented scale, but before he could voice his concerns, the ripple in the sky twisted, darkened, and tore open. Through the rift, they saw something that made even Thor pause. A version of themselves, stepping through the tear in reality. These were not ordinary versions of the Avengers. Their armor was darker, worn with scars, their faces twisted with fury and bitterness. The leader, a version of Tony Stark, glared at them through cold, hollow eyes. "Finally found you," he spat, his voice filled with venom. "The last obstacle in our way." Tony stared at his dark counterpart, recognizing the voice, the face, but twisted. "You're me?" the dark Stark sneered. "I was you. But in our world, everything went wrong. Our universe is dying, and it's because of the multiverse. The only way to survive is to be the last one standing." Steve Rogers stepped forward, his shield raised defensively. "You want to destroy other realities? That's insane, is it?" Dark Star countered. "You think you know sacrifice? You don't have a clue. We've lost everything. We've been betrayed by the ones we loved, torn apart by forces you can't even imagine. We'll do what's necessary." Before anyone could respond, Dark Thor swung his hammer toward the real Avengers, unleashing a blast of energy that scattered them across the rooftop. The battle was sudden, brutal, and chaotic. The real Avengers were forced on the defensive, trying to fend off their dark counterparts who seemed to know their every move, every tactic. Thor exchanged blows with his dark self, their hammers clashing with thunderous force. "You dishonor the name of Thor," he shouted, his anger rising with each strike. "And you dishonor yourself with your weakness," Dark Thor growled, driving his hammer toward Thor's chest. But the god of thunder deflected the blow with a surge of lightning, sending his dark twin crashing into a nearby wall. Captain America found himself in a fierce hand-to-hand struggle with Dark Cap, who fought with a viciousness Steve had never seen before. "You could have been better," Dark Cap hissed as their shields collided. "You could have been stronger." "I've seen strength," Steve grunted, blocking a blow and slamming his shield into Dark Cap's jaw. "And it's not what you think." Amidst the chaos, Tony fought his dark self, each of them using their suits to their full capabilities, weapons firing in rapid succession, repulsors clashing in the air. But as powerful as the real Avengers were, their dark versions fought with a desperation that bordered on madness. "Enough," Doctor Strange shouted, weaving a spell that created a barrier between the two groups. "We don't have time for this." The Dark Avengers paused, but their rage didn't dissipate. "We'll meet again," Dark Stark promised, his eyes locking onto Tony's. "And when we do, it won't just be your universe at stake." With that, the Dark Avengers retreated into the rift, leaving the real Avengers battered but standing. As the skies above New York began to return to normal, Tony landed beside Steve, his face set in grim determination. "This is bigger than we thought. We need to find out what they're planning and stop them before they tear the multiverse apart." Back at Avengers Tower, the team gathered to discuss what had just occurred. The mood was tense, the weight of the multiverse revelation pressing on them all. Doctor Strange stood before a holographic map of the multiverse, each universe represented by a pulsing dot of energy. The Dark Avengers are from a universe where everything went wrong. Their reality is collapsing, and they believe the only way to survive is to eliminate all other universes. But how could they do that? Natasha asked, arms crossed. "We're talking about an infinite number of realities." Strange nodded gravely. "In theory, they can't, but I've seen dark magic, ancient technology. There are ways to destabilize the multiverse, collapse it in on itself." Tony leaned forward, studying the map. "So how do we stop them?" "We need to find the source of their power," Strange replied. "They must be using some device or artifact that allows them to jump between universes and destabilize them. If we can locate it, we can shut them down." The Avengers exchanged glances, knowing that this mission would take them deeper into the unknown than they had ever gone before. The stakes were higher than ever. This wasn't just about saving Earth, but about saving all of existence. "Let's get to it, then," Steve said, his voice steady with resolve. With that, the Avengers began their journey across the multiverse. Their first stop was a universe that looked eerily similar to their own, but with subtle, disconcerting differences. The city skyline was familiar, but the air felt heavy, oppressive, as if the world itself was on the verge of collapse. They moved cautiously through the streets, eyes scanning for any sign of the Dark Avengers. It didn't take long before they were ambushed, their dark counterparts descending on them with brutal efficiency. "Stay sharp!" Steve shouted as they engaged in battle once again, the sound of clashing metal and energy blasts filling the air. Tony and his dark counterpart squared off again, repulsors firing, each movement a mirror of the other. "You don't have to do this," Tony said, trying to break through to his dark self. "We can help you." "Help us?" Stark's laugh was hollow, devoid of warmth. "You think we're like you? We're not. We lost everything. We were betrayed. And now, the only thing that matters is proving we're the strongest." Tony gritted his teeth as he dodged a blast, firing back in response. "I get it, okay? But there's another way. We don't have to destroy everything." "There's no other way," Stark hissed, charging at Tony with renewed fury. The battle raged on, but this time, the real Avengers managed to hold their ground. Working together, they pushed back the Dark Avengers, forcing them to retreat once more. "They're getting desperate," Natasha observed as the Dark Avengers vanished through another rift. "Which means we're running out of time," Tony said, glancing at Strange. "Did you find anything?" Doctor Strange nodded, holding up a small, glowing shard. "I traced their energy signature. This shard is part of a larger device, something they're using to tear open the fabric of reality. We need to find the rest of it," Steve said, his tone resolute. "Before they can use it to destroy the multiverse." With renewed determination, the Avengers pressed on, each step taking them deeper into the heart of the multiverse's shadowy web. The shard in Doctor Strange's hand pulsed with a faint, ominous glow. Its energy vibrated through the air like a quiet warning, urging them to act quickly before the rift between realities could widen any further. Tony glanced at the others, his mind already calculating the next step. "We need to trace this signature back to the source," Tony said. "Whatever they're using to destabilize the multiverse, it's not complete yet. That's our window to stop them." Strange nodded, his fingers tracing a series of intricate symbols in the air, forming a portal. "This will take us closer to the device. But be warned that the further we go, the more unstable these realities will become." With a collective breath, the Avengers stepped through the portal, and the world around them shifted once again. They emerged into a universe unlike any they had encountered before. The sky above was fractured, streaked with jagged cracks of light, as if the very essence of reality had been splintered. The ground beneath their feet felt fragile, and even the air carried an oppressive weight, thick with the echoes of a world on the verge of collapse. "This place is falling apart," Natasha observed grimly, her eyes scanning the horizon. "Whatever they're doing, it's already started here." Thor tightened his grip on Mjolnir, his expression hardening. "Then we must end it quickly. This realm will not survive much longer." They moved swiftly, navigating the crumbling terrain as Strange led them toward the source of the shard's energy. Every step they took felt like walking on thin ice, the ground beneath them cracking and shifting, threatening to give way at any moment. As they approached what appeared to be the epicenter of the disturbance, they saw Ida the device. It was massive, a towering construct of dark metal and crackling energy, suspended in the air by jagged tendrils of raw power. The device pulsed with a sinister light, each pulse sending a ripple through the surrounding reality, tearing at the seams of existence. And standing before it, guarding the device, were the Dark Avengers. They turned as the real Avengers approached, their faces twisted with determination and fury. "It ends here," Dark Stark said, his voice cold and unyielding. "You think you can stop us? You don't even understand what's at stake." "We understand enough," Steve replied, stepping forward, shield at the ready. "We know you're willing to destroy everything to save yourselves. But that's not strength, that's fear." Dark Stark's expression darkened. "Fear? You think we're afraid? We've already lost everything. We have nothing left to fear." "You have everything to fear," Tony countered, his voice steely, "because you've forgotten what it means to be us." The tension in the air was palpable, the silence stretching between the two teams as they faced off. Then, without warning, the Dark Avengers attacked. The battle that followed was unlike anything they had faced before. The real Avengers fought with precision and teamwork, but their dark counterparts were relentless, driven by a desperation that bordered on madness. Each clash sent shockwaves through the crumbling world around them, the unstable reality reacting violently to the sheer force of their conflict. Tony fought his dark self with a fierce determination, their suits whirring and sparking as they exchanged blow after blow. "You don't have to do this," Tony said between strikes, trying to reach the man he could have been. "We can help you. We can find another way." "There is no other way," Dark Stark snarled, firing a blast that sent Tony skidding across the ground. "We're beyond saving. The only way to survive is to be the last one standing." Nearby, Thor and his dark counterpart clashed in a storm of thunder and lightning, their hammers crashing together with deafening force. The ground beneath them trembled with each strike, fissures opening up as the world itself began to collapse. "You are not worthy of the name Thor!" Dark Thor shouted, his eyes blazing with fury as he brought his hammer down in a vicious arc. Thor deflected the blow with a surge of lightning, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "And you are not worthy of this fight." Steve battled Dark Cap in a brutal hand-to-hand fight, their shields clashing with every move. Dark Cap fought with a viciousness that Steve had never seen before, each strike fueled by anger and bitterness. "You could have been better," Dark Cap hissed as their shields collided. "You could have been stronger. But you chose the easy path." "There's nothing easy about being who we are," Steve replied, his voice calm even as he blocked a savage strike. "But we fight for something bigger than ourselves. That's what makes us strong." As the battle raged on, Doctor Strange and Natasha worked together to dismantle the device. Strange's hands moved in a blur of mystical symbols, his magic weaving around the device as Natasha provided cover, her movements swift and precise as she took down any dark version that approached. "We don't have much time," Strange said, his voice trained as he concentrated on the spell. "This device is too powerful. We need to shut it down before the entire multiverse collapses." Natasha nodded, her eyes focused as she fired another shot at Dark Widow, who had been closing in on them. "Then let's get it done." Just as Strange was about to complete the spell, Dark Strange appeared, his hands glowing with dark magic. "You think you can stop this? You're a fool." Strange didn't respond, his focus unbroken as he continued the spell. Dark Strange advanced, his magic clashing with Strange's in a dazzling display of power. "You can't win," Dark Strange sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. "You don't have the strength." Strange's eyes narrowed, his voice steady as he replied, "I don't need strength, I have purpose." With a final surge of power, Strange completed the spell, and the device shuddered, its energy flickering before finally going dark. The ground beneath them heaved, the cracks widening as the unstable reality began to implode. "We need to get out of here," Tony shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. The Avengers regrouped, Strange opening a portal just in time as the world around them collapsed into a maelstrom of energy. They tumbled through the portal and landed back in their own universe, the air around them still crackling with residual energy. For a moment, they lay there, catching their breath, the weight of what they had just done settling in. Tony was the first to stand, his face grim as he surveyed the others. "We stopped Ama for now, but they'll be back. And next time, they won't be so easy to stop." Steve nodded, his expression somber. "We'll be ready." As the team gathered themselves, Strange closed the rift, his hands weaving a final spell to seal the breach between universes. The multiverse was Sci-Fi for now, but the Avengers knew that this victory was only temporary. The Dark Avengers were still out there, somewhere in the shadows of the multiverse, waiting for their next chance to strike. And when they did, the Avengers would be there, ready to face them once again.